Well, 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 ladies and gentlemen, this is huge news. This is a huge update. This is the title update and 10-year anniversary announcement post. And man, for 10 years, they are definitely diving in. And they say in the post that it's potentially the largest update ever in this game. And I think that might be true. This is a massive update. But right ahead, and it's going to take a long time to get through. It's a very long post. I'm going to try to cover most of the big stuff. But just right up front, I'm going to tell you, I think it's good. It's mostly good, and I'm impressed. There's some things, I think it's very limited what I dislike, but it's huge. So celebrating to properly honor this momentous 10-year anniversary and set the stage for the next exciting era. They're announcing their overhaul. So they go ahead and just talk about how they instantiated eras. This was about a year ago. And when they announced eras, I had kind of a very negative reaction to it. And some of that I think was merited. And they did fix things that I had complained about. Like for galactic challenges, they had removed the just complete the battle feat. And then for like the first couple examples of galactic challenges that were like just feat locked for any kind of progress, it was like Tuskens and Jawa, so it didn't look good coming off the bat, but they fixed things. The rate at which you were going to get episode points in currency wasn't as bad as I had thought. So I don't want to have any kind of knee-jerk reaction of saying, oh, this sucks, I'm going to hate it. And I just really think a lot of stuff is good. So they're just talking about how they brought in this era structure. And what they're going to be doing as part of the changes, they're expanding episode quests to players starting at level 10. Which is like 5 minutes into the game. You play for 5 minutes, you get to level 10. It's very much immediate instead of level 85. Even though level 85 they made more accessible, that is a nice change. Players who are below level 85 will receive a set of introductory episode quests, so they won't be expected to have all the same kind of stuff that level 85 plus players do, and then level 85 will have the normal quests. So what they're doing, they're really isolating new characters and era stuff into all its own game modes. You're not going to be able to use them in any other game modes. Brand new characters, brand new marquee. You're not going to use them in Grand Arena, Territory War, Territory Battle, Conquest, any of that. They're going to be isolated completely to era content. And why I like this, from the standpoint of both a free-to-play endgame player and a free-to-play mid-game player, and also a new player, I never got to really use the marquees in any of those game modes anyway. TB was locked behind relics, and even with the update, I wasn't getting them, the update that lets you relic characters that aren't 7 stars. I wasn't getting them to high enough relics to where I'd be able to use them in TB at all. Conquest, it has helped. But think about this, for Conquest, it might be a little bit of a delay. Well, maybe not. It might be a little bit of a delay to all the feats, like shoving in your face the brand new character, if a new conquest starts in the middle of an era. So it starts in the middle of an era now. You might see a bunch of feats for a character that was released a month or two ago. But now it's going to be delayed. You're not going to be forced to use those immediately. And in Grand Arena, especially in the Kyber 1 main account, I was always facing players that were using brand new stuff right away. So I like that. And they're going to be giving you all 6 era units at once. And this is quite a solid group of era units for this new era of anniversary. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But anyway, let me just read it. Eras will be isolated from the rest of the game, which we're referring to as legacy content. I don't like the name legacy because it makes it sound like it's outdated, it's obsolete. I don't think that's the case. TW, TB, Grand... Well, I shouldn't start with TW and TB. Grand Arena first and foremost. Conquest, TW, TB. None of that is obsolete. That's still the main... That's the crux of the game, in my opinion. Especially Grand Arena. That's where you are using your roster. That is the end goal you're building up. In eras... era content is a stepping stone to get those characters to use in the broader sense of the game, legacy content. And that from what I read, I do not read into legacy as obsolete in any sense of the word. During the era in which Marquee and Journey Guide units released, they will be considered an era unit, and then when the era ends, era units will become legacy units. Basically normal units. This is important for just a few reasons. Era units can only be used in era modes, like I already said, not be used in Legacy. Era units only use era resources for progression, while Legacy units will continue to use existing material and recipes for upgrades. Legacy units cannot be used in era modes or upgraded with era material, so you can't use your existing roster in the era system. It's primary to allow players to progress in both the latest content and grow their rosters in Legacy content. So how they're doing this, it's very streamlined and simple. Instead of gear level, relic level, ability, Zeta, everything under the sun, it's simply levels. So air levels to support the design pillars. It's a new progression system. This system uses new resources instead of legacy gear or relics. And era levels are a linear progression path that unlocks stats or abilities at each level. Unit stars is another way to power up your era units that are required to upgrade era levels beyond certain levels. 4 stars required for level 66 plus. So I think that part is kind of this. Well, I don't know if it's going to be the same. So like getting a 4-star is already kind of like hard on a marquee unit now. As long as that's easy enough, then it is going to be fine. If it's easier to get 4-star than it is now, then that's good. 5 stars required for level 76 plus, 6-star 86, level 7 is 91, and there's a conversion here. Players will need a variety of era materials to upgrade a unit's era level. And at the end of the era, you'll convert each character from their era level to a base, like normal game development level. So era 65 to level 85 will get you to gear 12 right away. I think that's huge for every player. Whether it's a long-time player or it's a new player or a mid-game player, you're getting right to gear 12. That means no Chirotech. You don't have to slap any gear on them. They just get right to a point where the difficulty upgrading to the next level is the same as any other unit. So the foundation for a new account and the free-to-play way of life is really focusing on old units like 2019 and earlier that don't require Chirotech, because Chirotech is a pain to get. Chirotech is not really getting easier to get with this update, but it is getting less in demand from new stuff, so that is good. So if you get to level 85, they're saying this is where we expect most players to reach with free-to-play. And it's easy to probably be cynical about that and think, oh yeah, right, whatever. But they said that about the episode track, and I thought I wouldn't be able to do it with my GoTinks account, and I do it easily. I know not everyone does, so you're just gonna have to be on your toes and try to do everything you can within the era battles. At least to start. None of us know how it's actually going to work, and I'm not calibrated to it. If it's extremely hard, I'll hate it. If it's like you can't actually get to that 65, that'll suck. But if you're era level 65 and you end the era and you get a gear 12 character, that's great. That's a huge improvement on the starting power level. Because on my GoTanks account, I'm still doing like gear 7 for marquee units. But then if you get up to level 80 to level 85, I might be able to do that on my main account. I don't know. You start at Relic 2. Starting at a Relic level, even if it's Relic flat 0 or 1 or 2, is huge. Gear 12 to Gear 13 is one of the biggest, most painful bottlenecks for players in this game. Not even for just free players, just paying players. And that's why it's probably the biggest reason people just wait around for Lightspeed bundles is because Gear 12 to Gear 13 is such a pain. Getting to Gear 12, if there's a bunch of Chirotech, that's a pain. But for the most part, other than that, it's not a big deal. And then if you get air level 95 max, this is probably whale territory, you just go right to Relic 6 and get all the Zetas. That's crazy. I will be definitely trying to do that on maybe 1 or 2 of these on my main account, or to see how I can get in the free-to-play way. I do have a good crystal stash to spend. I don't spend money, but I'll be trying it. So now let's look at the first round of changes coming to the game to support eras, followed by what players can look forward to next year. Brand new game mode, Coliseum. So there are some new game modes that aren't really new game modes. They have marquee battles they revamped them. That was kind of a new game mode. Galactic Challenges, it was just a little tab in the events. That came out in like 2020 or something, a long time ago. But it was sold as, oh, there's a new game mode. That's not a new game mode like this is a new game mode. This is completely new. It's like a boss fight, but you're using only your air units. So new game mode and the first era mode to be added. Unlocking at player level 10. This game mode pits individual players against formidable foes from the Star Wars universe. Bosses will rotate daily, with players attempting to achieve new high scores each day. These high scores will earn rewards in 2 ways. One-time rewards for milestones, so think like reward tracks, then guild individual current tracks. They reset each era, and daily leaderboard rewards. This is like a shard, like an arena or fleet arena shard, but I'm hoping it's not too bad. It could be, though. We'll see. To support the new leaderboard, they're doing the air shards, just like I said. It's not tied to your squad or fleet arena shard, and you'll be randomly assigned to a new shard each era, and that's probably good. So fleet arena shards and squad arena shards are still kind of an anomaly in this game, where you're set with the same individual group of players from day one, or like when you hit level 60 or level 26 or whatever, until the day you die, or the day you stop playing the game. It's the exact same accounts. Maybe not same individuals in all cases. Some people rise up, some people quit. But it's kind of a wonky system. I don't want them to change it because it's there. We're used to it. But you are going to get rotated. So if you're in a really nightmare shard, next era might be better for you. So yeah, the bosses are switching in between some pretty cool units. Era challenges, another place to use the eras in these units. So this is one thing I'm going to say, one of the few things I just don't really like. They're replacing galactic challenges. So in an effort to help manage how much time players spend completing their daily tasks. The difficulty tiers are balanced around having era units and squads at certain era levels, and the feats reward those appropriately. Those will be available during the weeks between Marquee releases. The players will have the full week to complete as much as they can on their own schedule. So that schedule flexibility is good. You get the full week. And you're going to be only using the era units, which isn't going to require any of your gear or relics or anything like that. What I don't like about losing galactic challenges, and I don't think I'll cry very long about losing them. It was just a way to use your roster. I use them as, just kind of a demonstration when I do like squads for noobs videos, which isn't like a very broad use case. Not many people are doing that, but it was just someone to use your roster. It was a highlight for like Galactic Legend Leia. Certain characters had kind of outsized value. I found Darth Vader was really useful because you had a lot of dot feats and take 8 turns in a row. So that kind of switches up the value proposition of certain characters that I've placed a lot of emphasis on. But I can definitely get over that. It kind of sucks for my guildmate Bit Dynasty and Scribe, people that do a lot of galactic challenges. That really sucks. But I don't know. I think people will get over it because galactic challenges a lot of times was just a chore. So I don't know. And then at least for this, at least everyone will have the same characters available. So it will. Well, actually, I mean, it won't be that bad for Bit Dynasty. He'll come up with a way to do this better than anyone. So him and Scribe, yeah, have at it. I might even make some stuff if I can figure something out. But it's just a switch. I don't hate it that much. It's just something on first take, I don't especially like. They go on to say that they're trying to manage overall time in game. And since they're adding the Coliseum, they're hoping to reduce the time commitment in other game modes. They specifically call it Conquest and Territory battles. So for Conquest, I can definitely see it with Relic Delta. It's going to help. You're going to be able to crush things a lot easier with your higher Relic characters. TB, I don't know. For the first 3 like zones of planets, Relic Delta only really does much like 3 levels up, like only 1 or 2 levels higher. It's indistinguishable. So Relic 9 planets aren't going to see any improvement. Relic 8, barely anything. Relic 7, probably not even anything. It's only really day 1, which you don't really need to do the battles for anyway. So I don't know. I think for territory battles, it's a big fat nothing. For Relic Delta, Conquest actually will help. It'll make it easier. In the future, we'll continue to examine which modes should be supplanted by the era system, which ones are drivers of your legacy rosters. That should stay front and center. So I don't think they'll ever touch Grand Arena. I don't think they'll touch TB for a long time. TW, I don't know. I'd be a little worried if you love TW that might get edged out. But also probably not, because you have all these TW Omicrons and then you have to rebalance them because some TW Omicrons are just busted if you put them in a Grand Arena context. But anyway, We have long way to spice up Cantina. So basically, they are revamping this front and center table to focus on the era stuff. If you're wondering what PH means here, it just means placeholder. It means that it's not the final product. They haven't completely named it or designed it yet. So yeah, PH campaigns. So I would expect it to look a little different than this little blaster here. But they moved all the campaign nodes up here, which makes sense. This is front and center for all of about a few weeks, a couple months. When you're new, you don't really focus on it that much, but it's front and center visually. And I support that. I support putting this more visual. It feels like a real mode, a real new thing when they make space for it on the actual holo table. Like when they brought in Scavenger and, the Grand Arena table became its own thing. So I do like that. And I liked when they consolidated everything in the arena table too. Future seasonal content, oftentimes players will be building 2 or even 3 squads out of the Marquee and Journey Guide units during an era. We want to support player agency in developing those squads. Early next year, we plan to release what we're calling loaned units, a system where players will temporarily be granted a variety of additional era units based on legacy units for use in era mode. So it's basically helping you make a real team. Because if you're only limited to era units, like this era, it's got a bunch of random characters that don't really fit together on their own. They go into a bunch of different teams. So you might get loaners to help make them actually make sense within the era unit. So that's pretty good. Recognize there are players who want to duke it out directly in PvP rather than fighting big bosses. So they want to bring a PvP later for eras, and that's something I don't know if I'll really love, because it'll be something I'll be behind the eight ball on as a free player. So currently, I like that it's just PvE. I mean, the leaderboard thing is kind of PvP indirectly, but and like I said, for era stuff, mods can be complicated. So you'd have to, you have this isolated unit system, and bringing in mods to have differentiation is adding a layer of complexity to something that's supposed to be simple and straightforward. So, I'm fine with no era PvP for a while, or ever, maybe. Legacy changes. Alongside the new era content, we have a number of changes coming to the rest of the game in a high-level look. So they established their cadence for marquees. They're changing that a little bit. And this is what I mentioned towards the beginning. Players will be granted all the marquee units from an era the first time they log in during that era. So, hi, thanks for coming. Here you go. Here's 6 characters. That's good. These units will not be accessible for upgrades or battle use until their individual marquee starts. So that's nice. You can at least see them. Well, are their kits going to be available fully? I would think so. Kind of rip character kit reveal videos, because it's like if you get 6 at once, it's kind of a lot to digest. This way, all players will have access to the same marquee units at the same time, even if our particular marquee unit is missed during an era. You still want to play the marquee units to upgrade. So this is they're committing here to a cadence for release to shards. The second week after the release of the era, they're going to be available in shipments. That's like for crystals and stuff, not like Galactic War shipment or anything. Marquee characters will be available 13 weeks after their marquee event on a node, and then their shards will become accelerated 1 year after the start of their release era. So that's good. That means, so if an era lasts 3 months, the last character released in that era is going to become accelerated significantly faster than normal. While the first unit in that era is going to be basically what we've been used to, is a year. So that's kind of nice. I do like that. This is also when marquee units are eligible for Lightspeed tokens when they're accelerated, as a change from early plan of having them being eligible 1 year after the end of the era. So yeah, those end of the era units will be available sooner for Lightspeed tokens. As part of the major eras update, there will be a number of changes to the Relic economy. So this is where it gets interesting for all players. They want to create a path for players to reach a higher tier of relics. They want to invest deeper in their squads. So yeah, that's great. I want to be able to do that, and I want other players to be able to do it too. They want to reduce the pinch of gear and relic materials, and I think they have been able to do it. From what's in the rest of this post, I think they have done that to some degree. Increase inflow of relic resources, improve access to relics. So reducing the pinch, basically this right here, they're saying since you're not using all that stuff for the new era units, you can focus on your old roster, which is true. That is good. To alleviate some of the pressure on materials for Relic 9, they're removing fragmented signal data. That's the lowest tier, the white one, light blue one. Chromium transistor and a rhodium heatsink from the Relic 9 recipe. So at first glance, I was kind of like, big whoop. Because chromiums and bronzums are really the bottleneck, but they're already not required for Relic 9. So this is just the next two pieces up. So the lowest tier Relic material you're going to need is electriums. Chromium transistors, that is really just a big fat who cares, because if you aren't drowning in these, you're doing it wrong. Go see my Relic farming video. Or anyone else's. They're so easy to get. Rhodium heat sinks, it's also kind of like a big whoop, because they're pretty easy to get, but it's not nothing. It's something. And then the fragmented signal data, that's nice. It's the easiest one to get, but you needed a large amount of it. You needed like 50 something. So that is significant. That is a couple days, 2 to 3 days of farming signal data. That's not nothing. That's good. So you're going to be able to use that for the lower Relic materials. And they're also increasing Relic material inflows. So this is talking about the free episode track, Relic 1 to 5 materials. So that's chromium transistors or carbonite circuit boards up through might be electriums as the Relic 5. No, it's not. No, Relic 1 to 5, not the material, not the first material through the 5th material. Forget it. That's up to rhodium heat sinks. And tier 1 to 3 signal data will replace existing salvage boxes. That's good. I want this on any account. Even if I had a brand new account, I'd want this instead, just for the future. Players engaging in daily and eras will still be able to complete the episode track, and we expect most players to be able to earn those resources monthly. So I hope that's the case. I mean, they are saying yes, era resources are what you're using, but I still expect like crystals to have some kind of impact. Like you should be getting some kind of boost from using crystals, or just spending directly on things. I don't know. There has to be some differentiation to make it incentivize spending, but I'm hoping that everyone can complete it. Yeah, even if you're really, really new. Improved access to relics. More resources, less pressure on gear. But without access to more of the important materials to upgrade higher tier relics, they wouldn't be able to use those resources. So they're adding a few things to the scavenger. Some of this is, and this is going to be, some of this is, skip it, don't really utilize this. Some of it is great. First, jumping ahead, the new signal data. I don't get what was the point of adding a new signal data tier if you were just going to require all the old signal data to make it. The plus side, you can pick which one you use. The lowest tier signal data is 6 points. The middle one's 8. The end one's 10. You need 145 points to make one corrupted signal data. So that's 15 of the dark blue. I think it might be the most efficient to do the lower tier because it, to me at least, and I don't know if the math backs is up, it seems like I get half as much of this later stage. And cost-wise, it is like it's twice as expensive to buy this with crystals, so it might be efficient to do this. I don't know. And then this arrow magnifiers and droid brains are no longer locked behind buying it with tier 3 currency or TW. Arrow magnifiers used to be flowing, you know, from that challenge pit rate. I had 600 when the challenge pit died on my main account. Now I finally have to buy them again. So you're going to be able to make them in the scavenger instead of just buying them with currency or TW. And some of this seems like Chirotech. You want me to use Chirotech on that? Are you kidding me? I'm going to stop you right there. From a lot of the, I would say most of the player base's perspective, this sucks. The thought of having to use Chirotech to get anything. Because that is the main thing. Chirotech and then this tactical data prototype. And if you're wondering which relic piece that is, or gear piece that is, it's this one. And what's significant about that, you do not use it to scrap anything right now. It is a gear 12 piece on the left hand side. It is not used. It is the least demanded piece, gear 12 piece in the game. Not many people use it. You can't scrap it for electriums, and you can't scrap it for impulse detectors. So that is why it's available to scrap for both of these. And I'll take advantage of that. But for an endgame player, even a free player, being able to scrap Kyrotech is good. I don't have a Kyrotech bottleneck. I don't need all this Kyrotech. Whenever I get Kyrotech now, I just sigh and say, who cares? I don't need it. So on GoTank's account, give me the Kyrotech. If I could give my Kyrotech from my main account to GoTank's, that would undermine the integrity of the free-to-play status. But it's like, I want the Kyrotech on that small account. But this, what I don't have is Droid Brains. I do not have many Droid Brains. I'm dying for them. I'm drowning here. Give me some Droid Brains. I can't get them. I have to wait for TW to come around. Even if I want to buy them, I already bought the one shipment a week for the 5 for them. So this is actually fantastic that I can salvage this. This is a long-time player dream, honestly, to actually have used for the Kyrotech. The scrapping rates, I'm going to say don't do arrow magnifiers because the rate is the same. I mean, you need 245 points to make a Droid Brains, 175 to make an arrow magnifier. Are you kidding me? That's it? And you get the same amount of points for each thing. Do the Droid Brains, don't do the arrow magnifiers. Buy the arrow magnifiers with tier 3, scrap for the Droid Brains. And then in the scavenger, this is probably the biggest free-to-play update in this announcement. The best thing for everybody. Electrums and Zimbittles are no longer Mark 3 raid tokens. They're Mark 2. So everything up through Relic 7 is Mark 2 raid currency. What the downside is, you still need that to get from Gear 12 to Gear 13. It's a very high value currency, but it's not too bad. It's 75 Mark II raid tokens per Electrum Conductor. For reference, it was 100 Mark III before, so not only is it a more prolific currency, you require less of it, and then Zimbittle's 100. So to get one character from Relic 6 to Relic 7 with Zimbittles, you need 1,000 currency to get the 10. That's not bad. That's less than like 15 Gear 12 pieces. That is not bad at all. And Electrums, this is going to be a huge update for most players because you have to be on the cutting edge with new characters for the new raid to get a lot of tier 3, but basically anyone gets a lot of tier 2. So that's big. Probably even bigger than that. Carbonite circuit boards and bronzium wiring, all of these, the first 4, chromium transistor and heat sinks, are going from Mark 2 raid tokens to Mark 1. Now, first off, they were an absolute ripoff before in here. So, I'm glad I'll capture this for posterity. The cost of this makes me want to cry. I have mocked this. When I did a Relic tier farming video, I openly mocked this. These are insane prices. For 3 carbonite circuit boards, you need 1,200 tier 2. That's 400 a piece. That puts in perspective the 75 and 100 for the Zimbittles. Think about it. For a carbonite circuit board, it's 400. For bronzium wiring, it's 450. For this, it's 550. What in the world? It's insane. These were just hard pass. They have to know that. They look at the data. It's ridiculous. They're getting rid of it. It's going all the way down here, and it's going to be cheaper. It's not only going to be cheaper if it were to stay tier 2, it's just going to tier 1 as well, and that's what everyone's getting a lot of, or you should be. Every time you run the raid, you're getting a lot. And the best thing out of the whole batch, bronzium wiring. 40 per bronzium wiring. 40 raid tokens each. 35 for carbonite circuit boards. That's nice. But honestly, it's a lot easier to get carbonites than bronziums. Bronziums are the bane of my existence on the GoTank's account. And for a mid-game player, everyone should rejoice at this and be merry because this is fantastic. So to get 100 bronzium wiring, you need 4,000 raid tokens. Even if you're like me, even on my GoTank's account, I don't need as much tier 1 currency as I'm getting. The characters I want to gear up are limited by the bottlenecks of Gear 12 to Gear 13 or by Kyrotech, so I have plenty of that other gear. Using this for bronzium is a slam dunk. I only hope the shipment sizes are large enough to be able to like sink a bunch into it, like binge spend. Like, I want to be able to buy like 50 or 100 at a time instead of like 2 or 3. But it's a great deal. If you used like your whole load of tier 1 currency, you could get 400 bronzing wirings from one raid in like 1 week. So this is really gonna basically eliminate bottlenecks of carbon circuit boards and bronzing wiring. The impact of this cannot be overstated. This is huge. This is groundbreaking. For the chromium transistors, I've already said those are trivially easy to be drowning in. And you get the Mark 7 blast text with guild currency or guild tokens in your set. Iridium heat sinks, this is not quite as direct of a dismissal of its value. But I did some quick math. To buy 20 Mark 3 hollow projector salvage, it costs 260, and that will convert to 1 fully crafted hollow projector, which is the only thing you should convert for iridium heat sinks, which will give you 5. So for 260 tier 1 currency, you get 5, which is 52 per iridium heatsink, slightly cheaper than the 55. So this is going to be a pass, but kind of barely. It's not as much of a joke as this. Don't do this. But it's still not quite the most efficient. They're trying to make relics materials easier and cheaper to acquire. That is hard. Like, that is a hard yes. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like, the opposite of hard pass. That is slam dunk. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Good, good, good. IG and Grogu. Yes, yes, yes. So you can get to Relic 4 with 5 stars now, reduced from 6. Relic 5 with 6 stars. So Relic 6 is the first one you need 7 stars for. So this will actually kind of help with Galactic Legend farming. So I can, if this applies, maybe it'll help me get, well, I don't know, it can help me get Hondo sooner. If like a new Marquee is required at Relic 5, that's a lot faster. 100 charge takes a long time. While we lift the floor of relics for many players, we also want to raise the ceiling with Relic 10, so that's fine. Earned from Era shipments, Relic 10 materials will be the most valuable for players competing in the high enough arena championships and territory wars. Yes, that is very true. If you're only focused on PvE stuff, that's not really going to matter too much. It'll give you a little boost, but it won't be completely necessary. While new units and content are exciting for most of our veteran players, competition at the top end of our PvP modes withdraws excitement. So yes, I agree. Increasing the accessibility of Relic 9s means players should feel more comfortable with pushing their competitive squads to higher relics. This is some major context for why Relic Delta is important and how the access to relics is becoming easier. Speaking of which, thanks to the efforts of those involved in the recent playtest. Too soon. I wasn't in it. They didn't invite me. We have finalized the values of Relic Delta shown below. This system will not be active in Conquest during the Stranger arc, so that's just the current Conquest. Makes sense, because they already launched it. For the Conquest after the Stranger, we're working to improve quality of life and ease the pain points. So, I mean, what we heard from the playtesters is that the Relic levels of Conquest units will be reduced. Their stats will be kind of similar, and they have to tune that. Like, it's not just you flip a switch. You got to help determine how to balance so that a Relic 2 or 3 characters same punch as a Relic 7 or Relic 8, aside from the Relic unit. This final number is the lowest we've seen from the playtest, and I think it's actually not too bad. So what I had in my head of what would be at least rational or acceptable is like a 10% per level difference. And they've actually gone less than that until you get 4. And then when you get to 4, it's a 10% decrease. The damage a stronger Relic character does to a lower Relic character is still pretty high. So you're going to do 2.5 times more damage if you're 5 Relic levels above. That seems pretty high. And then 70% more to 4 Relic levels or above. That's not doubling, though. That's less than what they initially had. And the damage penalty is way more acceptable than at first glance. They told us, and this was intentional, they wanted to sandbag the number so it made it easier to swallow. At first it was a 95% damage penalty. That is pennies on the dollar for the damage you're doing. Whereas now, minus 60%, that really sucks, but at least it's not going from 1,000 damage to 50. 95% less damage was a 20 times multiplier. This is barely more than a 2 times multiplier. It's cutting your damage in half, which sucks. But sometimes, if you have the right control, you can still chop down a tree. It might take a little bit longer if you're doing repeat hits. So, all things considered, This is not that bad. 2 relic difference is barely noticeable. 10% more damage given or taken. Most players would not be able to, if you just added that in and you didn't know, most players wouldn't be able to notice they're doing 10% less or taking 10% more. You just wouldn't be able to. We knew this was a critical but difficult change to make. That's why they ran a playtest. I mean, I do appreciate that they put it out there, give us the warning, had the playtest, had people put it out there. That is much better. Like, if this was the first I was hearing about it, this would really suck. So that was actually probably smart to give this to us ahead of time. I think the community is more or less coming around to accepting Relic Delta. I mean, there's going to be diehard haters like there was for Datachroms and even relics before that and mods, but we're gonna live with it. It's gonna be okay. This release also contains a number of changes to the episode track. With the release of era levels, a variety of era materials will be added to the episode track. So that's one way to get them. The Pass and Plus Plus will contain more era materials. Generally, Relic, we already talked about this. Galactic Challenge episode points migration. So they'll be discontinuing Galactic Challenges. Episode points awarded from these feats have been fully distributed across episode quests. Only the points from feats requiring episode pass ownership were applied to quests during it. Free episode quests award 5,000 episode points now, up from 2,000. So those are remaining the same, and that's the main source anyway. So you're still going to get a lot of points. It shouldn't be too hard, since free episode quests are still there. Episode quests requiring the episode pass will get 7,000 instead of 4,000. Chapter headline quests will reward 11,000 instead of 8,000. So that actually could be quite lucrative points-wise for a lot of players, because those free episode quests are quite easy to do. Daily quests are getting a new daily quest, so your dailies are going to include era stuff, so don't miss it. You want to complete your dailies every day. You're going to get a little bit more episode currency from that, or episode points, so it's good. This is huge. I love this with the Lightspeed tokens. This is such an impact. So, on the lower end. Before, the lowest tier of Lightspeed tokens got you to gear 10, and the second one got you to gear 12. Now the lowest gets you to gear 12, and the second lowest gets you to Relic 1. I don't care what Relic level it is. Relic, the vast majority of the benefit is obtained just through this. Skipping gear 12 to gear 13 gear is amazing. It's phenomenal, and you're getting these for free. I mean, I've gotten like 3 or 4 of these for free so far on Gotenks, and I've gotten gear 12 characters, but still I've been like, I don't know, do I really use them? That hard yes now. I'm definitely going to use a Relic 1 character because it's easy to get gear 12 to gear 13, especially with the updates to bronzing wiring and carbide circuit boards. That's phenomenal. And still, Relic 3 is pretty solid for PvE stuff, which is where a lot of free players should be focusing. Think Assault Battles, guys. That's great. I know this video is long, but there's a lot to cover, so I'm not trying to cut out anything. And then as it goes up, more Relic levels, more stars, more ability levels. 4 stars Relic 1. That's great. You're gonna get a lot of these for free. That's just amazing. So now that's all most of the game changes. Now we're talking about the anniversary era and some anniversary celebration stuff. So this is all good stuff, good free stuff, and the era stuff that we're going to be engaging with. So this era of the anniversary is a lot of throwback stuff, and I gotta say I like the choices for the characters. Stormtrooper Luke. People have been asking for this probably since day one because we had Stormtrooper Han. Why not Stormtrooper Luke? One step up from Farm Boy Luke. I'll go with Stormtrooper Han, Princess Leia, and R2-D2, and Old Ben as a real team prior to unlocking Leia. So I think that everyone should be going for Leia. It's cool. I probably won't get much use out of him on either account. I already have Leia, but it's still cool. IG-90. Up from IG-86 and IG-88, we get IG-90, a notorious bounty hunter who provides Dr. Aphra and her squad with a much-needed tank. This has also been a huge weak spot with Aphra. She doesn't have a dedicated tank. You'd have to put Magna Guard in there. It doesn't do well. This might make Aphra worthwhile. That's a great ad. I think he's the one from like Mando Season 1. I'm not sure. Yoda and Chewie. Take Clone Wars Chewbacca, add one Jedi Master, make into a powerful addition to Tarful's Wookiee squad. I haven't seen Tarful's squad in competitive PvP in years, but I've always thought he is like one good Wookiee away from actually being viable. His leadership, his kit is good. He's really good. Just there weren't enough good Wookiees to put with him, and a couple that were good, you didn't want to sacrifice a tick from. That's going to be something to keep your eye on. Asajj Ventress, Dark Disciple. As a bounty hunter, Asajj looked for a place to belong as she made her way through the galaxy, much like the Scion whose squad she'll join. So that's Boba Fett, son of Django. Should probably go with him and Fennec. If she can make him great, that'd be interesting. I'm skeptical because he sucks. But we'll see. Inquisitor Barriss. As Barriss Offie falls from grace, she will be part of a strong Inquisitorius squad in 3v3, as well as a potent potential unaligned force user for Seer to take on her away. So I'm guessing that means she's gonna have a 3v3 Omicron. We'll see. Maybe they think it's just she's just good for 3v3, but then she's just good all around. They don't always know how characters are gonna land, so that'll be interesting to see. Darth Vader, Duel's End. As a stranger steals away Vader's apprentice from Legend, Starkiller, this elite Marquee joins his new master, Palpatine, and the Emperor's hand is the backbone of a true Empire squad. That should be interesting. If this makes Palpatine, Mara Jade, Vader actually viable, that's amazing. This is all so cool. These are great choices. These are, I mean, it's so much at once. I am extremely interested to see all these do. And then Anniversary Era Journey, I didn't even comment on it yet. You could see Spider Lake's Maul. This is cool. Maul, hate fueled. His hate helped him survive after Obi-Wan cut off his legs, and he made himself a spider somehow out of garbage. Rebuilding his broken body from scrap metal in pure rage, the former Sith apprentice Maul seek out a stranger to give him new purpose and lead him in battle. So does he go with a stranger? I'm guessing that's what it means. The Era Journey event will now begin with the 5th Marquee unit's release, allow you to unlock the Era Journey Guide unit at 4 stars. So you can actually use them at 4 stars. That's interesting. Like, this is kind of a break off of the 7-star unlocks we've been getting. But that's cool. I'm for that if that is the case. You can get enough shards to get to 5 stars when the final Marquee releases, and players can play the last tiers of Journey and get to 6-star and 7-star. I still expect that to be mainly big spenders. These are just the bosses for the Coliseum. Dryax, Joe Taz, Fire ATST. They're in the picture we saw above. But quite cool. Cool stuff. I am really looking forward to all these characters. And getting to use them without having to, like, shell stuff out. We'll see how much you can actually use them for free, but up front, I like it. And now this part is actually pretty generous stuff for the 10th anniversary celebration. We're going to get a series of quests for all players. This is going to be excellent for new players and any players that haven't built up these characters yet. So these quests are going to be available until November 17th of next year. So you're going to get chances at a lot of good loot, Zetas and Omicrons, and Lightspeed tokens. So the first one is you're going to get some Phoenix. I'm a big Phoenix first guy. That's going to be fantastic. Hera, Sabine, Zetas, Ezra, Chopper. I'm glad I didn't relic my, well, if it's Bronzium, then maybe that's fine. I was just assuming it'd be relics. If it is Bronzium and they're relics, that'd be phenomenal, fantastic, amazing. But your Phoenix are going to get up and running. Captain Rex, even if it's the baseline, you're skipping the Kyra tech. Rebel Lightspeed token, so General 1. Emperor Palpatine Lightspeed token. You need to unlock them first. So if you're if you want to start a new account, it's actually going to be a good time to do it because you're going to get a lot of free stuff. Assuming you can beat this stuff, I don't know if it'll be great for free stuff. The next quest chain: Ahsoka, Jenna, Anakin, Mace Windu. They're Sanjita fans. They like the Sanjita free-to-play guide. They are giving you the good stuff. Phoenix and Galactic Republic pilots. I love it. More Zetas, more Omicrons. So for long-time players and newer players alike, you get some great stuff. Keller and Beck Lightspeed token, Jedi Lightspeed token, Grandmaster Yoda Lightspeed token. So the way the Yoda and Palpatine works, you're not going to get star upgrades, but you're going to upgrade their gear. So that's nice. This is what I'm going to love on Go Takes Account. Eighth Brother, Ninth Sister, Inquisitor Lightspeed tokens, all 5 of the originals. You get an Empire Lightspeed token. It's good stuff. This is kind of, this is like the CLS unlock crew. Princess Leia, Luke Skywalker, Fawn Boy, Old Ben, Stormtrooper Han, Admiral Akbar is in there. Droid, Lightspeed token, Commander Luke, Boba Fett, Bosk, IG, Dengar. So this is going to be great. This is starting in March. This is like a lot of what you need for Executor. Fennec Shand, Bounty Hunter, Chewbacca, Mandalorian, Cara Dune, IG-11 Queel, Grief Karga, Mandalorian. This is a lot of the early but relevant journey guide. This is great. Like, this is gonna be fantastic. I'm sorry, it doesn't make me want to start a new account. But for anyone starting a new account, that's going to be pretty amazing. And this is definitely something I will note in an upcoming free-to-play guide, with notes on the limitations of those quests. But it's like, oh, here, guys, that's great. Pillars of Seasonality. So this is what they're saying was the core of their ideas of what led to everything they designed with this new Era Overhaul. And I do believe it. Like, what they're saying, I think they've been trying to make that work, and it seems like they may be successful. Seasonal play is for all players. This is something they wanted to apply. It seems like it is. The isolation of the Era level and the Era unit, this is part of behind that. How would these Era units interact with existing rosters and game modes? If it's not the highest Relic level, how can players get that unit to a state of competitive viability? What constitutes game-wide competitive viability when players could have a full roster of Gear 7 or Relic sets? That's true. New characters, I just don't care about them because I'm like, okay, you're going to be low gear on my squad. Even with the update, you're still going to be like Gear 12, Relic 2. So it's like I wasn't really using them. So their choice was allow players to use the characters at a level that may or may not be competitively viable. So they have to guess, like, okay, Gear 12, Relic 1. Also, they don't really want to give you a free Relic right away. So what they chose is isolate seasonal play. So I think that was the right call. Like, it's very creative and effective. Pillar 2, focus on the fun. One of the main pillars was to create an experience for all types of players. Focus on what is fun. Fun means different things to different people. But here we are defining this as getting new characters, using them in exciting battles, and experiencing epic Star Wars stories. I don't care as much about the Star Wars stories, but using them in battle, yeah, I like it. It engages me to actually use it. When a new character comes out, I'm not like a kit reveal video guy. I know I'm not going to use them for a while, so I don't really have that much interest. So this is going to be great. In our early game, this is an interesting observation too. In the early game, players see rapid advancement of gear levels and a matching progression that's fun. So it's like I got to like level 36 in a day or something. It's like it hooks you in. It's like, oh yeah, level up, level up, level up. And then it tapers off, and that's kind of normal. To that end, we wanted new marquee units to be usable in content immediately with rapid and consistent incremental progress. So I do miss that. That is really fun where you can just zoom, zoom, zoom. You're going to go so high up in level. And it's all happening fast, and you feel like it's like a nice feedback loop. So actually, I might like that. This pillar informed some of the shaping of the Era level system, but its primary impact was on the content landscape. We needed one or more new game modes that could be designed specifically for the new isolated ecosystem. So that's the Coliseum. First seasonal mode for boss encounters for all players. The Coliseum still needs to be a place where veterans and new players alike can experience the fun of mastering a new challenge together. The variety of bosses at the right level of complexity allows theory graspers to have a space to explore nuances, while others can enjoy the progression from day to day. So I do like this. Tell a Star Wars story. That is great that they can do that. Eras are the most efficient path to progress for most players. So that is true. They've incentivized it to where you want to work on them, so you don't need to use any gear. You want to engage in eras. So, era levels use unique materials instead of gear and relics. Lightspeed tokens help achieve their goals while growing their roster with the newest era units, all without using their legacy resources. Relic 10 materials rewards onwards. For veteran players, Era allows them to power up their existing legacy units to greater heights with Relic 10. Era currency gives players agency over the rewards. So they're adding something to Era. I might have missed it. They might have added something to Era currency. Yeah, they're adding signal data to Era currency, and I missed that. Yeah, we're updating episode shipments to include items like signal data. It's fragmented and incomplete. So the player can use their extra episode currency to boost. So that's the first two. So those are like the two easier ones. But I missed that earlier. Yeah. Arab currency, we already said that. Hopefully this post provides with a better understanding of how we made some of the choices. So I know this has been a long video and it was a very long post, so watching this video might not have saved you much time, but at least I got to share my thoughts on all of it. 10 years is a huge deal for a mobile game. This is kind of like, I don't know if it's completely unprecedented because you got like Clash of Clans and stuff. But games, you know, live service games, if for like a Star Wars mobile game, this is the only one that's lasted this long to actually have this support and update. And this just is a great signal for the future. They're not like milking it or giving up or just trying to squeeze what they can out of you with Relic Delta. They're actually putting work into it. A lot of work in being creative and making something that seems like everyone can enjoy it. And they can still get their slice. They can still make some money off it, which we need to happen. We need them to make money from it to keep this game going. And I love this game. I haven't given much back or any back in terms of spending money, but I think I have given a lot back in terms of, the content landscape and my play. And I don't know. I just love this game and I like to see it thriving and growing. And I think this is a great update. It's a lot to take in. Hopefully the Era content isn't like so hard that it's like banging your head against the wall. But I'm optimistic. So with that, that's my take. Let me know what you think. This is huge. This is massive. This is a seismic shift in the game, but I think it's a good one. Thanks for watching, everybody. See ya.